Thank you. And then to follow on from that, I'm stuck.
Pick up where you left off, because pick up, go back to what you were getting at when you first made that statement.
How can you not feel quite so isolated by feeling that you can enter into conversation with others? Because you have to be in the world, and so you can be very centered in how you feel, but then with your interaction, because you have to live in this life of going through your day-to-day.
Well, you're arguing a little bit for limitations, because your premise implies that there aren't plenty of matches out there for you, and there are. There always are. But we know what you're getting at. Esther's been describing herself, and she doesn't want you to misunderstand it. She wants you to get it in the way she really means it. She's beginning to feel a little bit like a vibrational snob, because she knows what the vibration feels like when it is resistance-free and gains momentum. And frankly, most conversations that you will enter into with most people are not like that, which makes them less satisfying than they could be. But everybody's not up to speed, which is why you make a statement like that. Everybody's not ready. Everybody can meet you on the complaining platform. Everybody can meet you there. There's a crowd there. But on this leading edge where you feel really good. So it's almost like for a little while you're choosing. Esther says, so my choices are feeling good by myself, which sort of smacked of loneliness a little bit, until we said, are you forgetting about us? Infinite intelligence will play with you, and the fairies of the universe will dance with you, and all kinds of people, animals, all kinds of people and animals will rendezvous with you to support the alignment you've discovered. We promise you will not feel alone. And if you will take, and this is really what we are encouraging all of you to do, pull back from the conversations if they are negative in nature, even though it is the pattern of relationship that you have with almost everyone. It's the relationship that you have with your television. It's the relationship that you have with your media. It's the relationship that you have, most of you, with your children. It's the relationship that most of you have with your mates. You have this sort of contentious relationship because you're arguing for your rightness rather than from your good feelingness, you see. And when you finally flip that so that you really care about the way you feel, and then you allow law of attraction to help you to experience the momentum that good feeling vibration will bring about, you will begin to discover that there are so many people in your vortex waiting to have that kind of an experience with you, waiting to have that leading edge, best time ever, most energy moving on a topic experience with you.
One more question.
Yes. Now go back to the last question and ask it again and see if it was answered.
Could you help me?
Well, the question is how can I find this is the way we heard the vibration to be. How can I find myself in continual alignment without feeling isolated from the masses who aren't there? And we say, by understanding that you don't have time to interact with the masses anyway. You've been interacting with a small segment of the population. You've been interacting with what your vibrational countenance has been setting up for you. So it's kind of like, that would be like saying, okay, I'm at a food buffet, and there are things I like to eat and things I don't like to eat. Abraham, could you please tell me how to eat the things I like to eat? And we say, just pick them.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. To move from that slightly, once you start to experience the contrast and you feel that, like this experience, I asked and it was given to me.
Once you continue to experience the contrast because it's ever present. So once I accept the constant of contrast, and I'm friendly toward it, not resistant about it, I'm friendly toward it.
And if there is a fear
then I'm not accepting of the contrast. If there's a fear, then I have identified something unwanted and I'm pushing against it. And in the pushing against, I've made an enemy of something, and therefore I'm disallowing all the help that's coming from Source in this moment. Because I've put up this straw dragon that is not real. I'm just using it as my current condition to disallow my clarity and full acknowledgement of the well-being that is present in this moment.
So just practice.
And practice when it's easier, which is first thing in the morning. Practice that. Do that for a little while. Because, of course, we've written so many books, and they are full of so many processes. And all of those processes are about, so here I am standing in a place that feels less good. How can I make this place that feels less good feel better? Every process has been about that, because every process has been about helping you to release resistance. But today we are saying to you that by far the easiest way to get into vibrational concert with the Source, who you really are, is to, in the moment that you are aware that you are conscious in this day, let that be your intention. I'm awake. Esther said, I'm awake. Because for a while she noticed that if she was awake and if she stayed in bed, that her thoughts would drift to problem solving. So she started saying, I'm awake, knowing that she did not want her thoughts to drift toward problem solving. She wanted her thoughts to drift toward appreciation and well-being. So she just started really generally focusing upon the things that she could easily appreciate, and discovered so quickly that momentum would take place. We know for sure that what trips you up and keeps you from doing this exercise that we have been encouraging all day today and before, we know for sure that the thing that trips you up is that there are plenty of things with lots of momentum that you are finding sort of interesting, even though they don't feel that good. So it comes back to the thing that you helped us to define so clearly just a little bit ago. You really have to come to the place where you care how you feel. Because until you put that in place, the past momentum will rule your game. Because there's so much past momentum. It's the way things are sort of working in this world. Not working very well. For so many people, so much contention, so much protest, so much disallowance of so much abundance, and so much self-righteousness, and so much demanding through words things that you are denying through vibration. And so you got to sort of soften that all down so that you're demanding only what you can control, which is a soft thought that feels pretty good. And then watch momentum. Our favorite words currently are momentum, because it describes law of attraction better than any other word, and trajectory, because that describes who you are and what you intended when you decided to come forth. So when you find a way to soften negative momentum, which allows your resonance with your true trajectory, then life starts being the way you knew it would be. And it doesn't matter what you're doing or where you're going, because there's no ending to it anyway. It doesn't matter how you measure up to anybody else, because none of that measurement makes any difference anyway. The measurement of your success in this physical life experience, in all that we are all living, but pointedly in your physical life experience, the measurement of your success is the joy that you are experiencing. And we'll call that joy, we'll call that fun, we'll call that clarity, we'll call that ease, we'll call that frisky, we'll call that passion, we'll call that enthusiasm. It's all of that. It's all of those high-flying good feelings. That's the way you're supposed to feel. And you have to individually figure out how to get there as best you can right now. So the sooner you start, first thing in the morning, the more likely you'll still be there at lunchtime. Yeah.
Thank you.
Really good.
Thank you.
Really good.
Yesterday was an amazing day, and that was even before I was here. with you. And at the end of the day, I was walking home, and I realized I didn't have headphones. So I borrowed some from a friend, and he said, oh, only one of them's working, so you don't even have to worry to return them. You can just throw them away when you're finished. And I'd been practicing the flow all day, and I'm walking home, and I was just listening to music in the one earphone, and it was sounding so good, and the night air was so good, and I was approaching my apartment. I live in West Hollywood, and there's hills, and I'm literally going downhill, and the momentum is building. I'm enjoying the flow, and I'm walking a little faster, and then I start to jog a little, and then I had a little skip. I leaped. And when I landed, the jolt rattled the earphone, and the other earphone started working, and suddenly I had stereo. So my question is, how do I tune into that stereo all the time?
Just like that. That was the best description of momentum that we've ever heard. In other words, and if in that short of time, law of attraction could increase momentum that much, can you imagine what's really queued up for you? If you could just maintain that skipping a little longer. So often, you skip for a little while, and then you don't, and then you find a condition that makes you not skip. So it's really about the consistency of skipping. That's what you show to yourself. It's the consistency of skipping. And it's it's letting what is be enough. In other words, you were so joyously satisfied with the night air, with your own physical body, with your moving in the beautiful place. You weren't beating the drum of something that you were trying to accomplish. You were just appreciating. You started at this center place of well-being and just allowed it to demonstrate itself in the fullest way it possibly could in that moment, you see. And so imagine what it would be like. Imagine what it still is like. You're still on that path. You skipped your way right into this hot seat. You see what we're getting at? Just gets better and better and better and better and better. And there is no problem, issue, crises that you will ever encounter that has any more significance than one earphone not working for a little while. That's as bad as it gets. That's as bad as it gets. So you weren't even worried about that. You were happy you had another ear. You see. Really good.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. You think you like stereo with two ears? Imagine what it's like to be tuned in, tapped in, turned on with all of your physical senses being exploited by non-physical.